Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's August 21st. This will be our chart lesson today, and we had a FOMC minutes release today. It's not quite the same as a interest rate decision day, but sometimes there can be something, in those minutes that catches the market off guard and can cause volatility. So you still have to respect the announcement at 1 o'clock. So that's what the blue part is that I condoned off there, or blocked off, I guess I should say. Uh, you can see that it didn't really affect much. It didn't really change anything. This big move came before the 1 o'clock anyway, so it just really didn't change anything. Uh, and the volatility overall is settled back down. Not a lot of volatility. You can see the volume is still fairly low. Of course, I've backed out at a big distance, but that's still uh, much more normal market compared to what we've been having. You've got a two-tiered channel working up, but it's way too steep. And of course, you get a break and a couple of legs up to a new high, and then we just went flat after that. It looked like we were going to have a two-tiered channel, but it never really materialized. Um, it just kind of prices just kind of meandered along. We eventually did get a new high, but I wouldn't necessarily. I'd leave this more as a channel, a range day than I would this being a two-tiered channel with a break and a new high. Of course, you could argue there's a close outside and two legs up to a new high, but really, I just characterize this as a range day. Um, we were still inside that range going into the 2 o'clock hour. We were at the low end of it, but we're still inside it. So, um, yeah, just there's not a lot of trades today. This is more. It's a little bit quiet today. But we'll back out. We'll talk about the trades, and it won't take long today. And again, I apologize yesterday about the snafu with the volume or the sound. Um, I hope we don't have an issue today. I did a couple of real quick, just little test runs, and everything seems fine. So I don't know what happened. Sometimes there's just a glitch in this thing. Every once in a blue moon, seems like I do a video. When I get done, there's either a buzz in the audio or didn't take any audio or something. So it just seems to happen every now and then. And I've never really, I think one time I had some bad batteries in my headphones and that was causing an issue. But outside of that, um, it's happened a few other times. I just never really could pinpoint what happened. Um, it's just technology, glitches sometimes. And, even though I claim that I'm relatively proficient and up to date on technology, uh, I'm still probably not top of the line when it comes to that stuff. So, but I'm not one of these old guys that doesn't understand technology. I was in the, I spent 21 years in corporate America in the technology field, so I'm very familiar with technology and computers and things like that. So, but anyway, let's quit beating around the bush. Let's get to the trades. Again, I just characterize this for the most part. We were in an uptrend. This had an upward bias really the whole day up until here. Then we kind of had more of a sideways bias. So, but I would have characterized this up as being have an upward bias all the way into the 1 o'clock news item, and then after that, I mean, really, you could say we had a downward bias into the close. So, but this is more of a sideways bias after that point, and you just trade it. You trade it up. It has a slight upward bias when we're trending up, and then a slight downward bias when we're trending down. So overall, it's just a flat bias, and you can see that when you back out. So let's talk about the trade. I'm going to back out just a little bit here so you can see the bars a little better. But 7 o'clock came, we were just moving from one side of this channel to the other. Really, it looked like a spiking channel, but you always have to draw that, clone that line and drag it over to the other side just in case. And of course, we bounced there. And right at 7 o'clock, I'm trying to remember exactly where 7 o'clock came. It was right in here somewhere. It's one of these bars. I think it was this one right here. It came between these two bars, and then all of a sudden prices dropped down there again, and then turned and went out the other side. You got to go long right there. I don't know if I would wait and go long at this very high, but when it broke above this bar, or even when it went above this bar, dropping limit order one tick above this one, anywhere in there I'd be okay with, but I'd be a little bit hesitant to go long right into those highs. You got to figure with this being off a key entry point, you could probably do that and you'd still be okay, but I'd be a little bit less likely. I'd probably wait and see if you don't get a higher low or something. You do get a higher low here, but I'm still not crazy about that. When it tries to go lower again, you definitely want to get long above that little bullish bar right there. And that is a second entry long as well. So, and you notice it really takes on off then. And so those were two pretty good trades real quick there. And then, of course, you got your close outside a new high. So you got to be careful getting long now. You want to have a good setup, and I don't really see anything. There is a failed second entry short right here, but you're going long right into the highs right here. So again, and this is a good example of why I like to filter my signal bars, because it's not a very good signal bar. And there's a second entry there right off the EMA, and look what happens. It fails instantly. And when that failed and turned down, when it broke lower there, I'm going to take that because that's a short, that's a long trap and a good short on a failed second entry long that may turn out to be, this may turn out to be the high of the day. It didn't, but it still was a nice trade. And there's another lower high right here. Of course, now you've had a break. You don't quite have a new low, but you're bouncing off this trend line. So you got to be real careful getting short. You didn't, you know, they really didn't have this trend line confirmed, although this was almost a confirmation of it. But when it didn't go higher there and turn down instantly, you got to assume that's a trap. So you may take that trade, but I'm just leery of going short right into that trend line. I will make that one green because that's definitely a trap. And you can see how bearish that bar suddenly got when it turned down. I mean, you had two really bearish bars right there. It dropped real quick, and then it took a little while to even bounce there. You got a higher low right here, but everything is still closing below that EMA. We couldn't get back through that trend line. So even though that bounced right there, I'm a little leery about taking that. That's an inside bar. If you had an equal low, or this made a new low and this was actually your signal bar, I'd probably say, hey, you might risk that one, but it's not. And then finally you get a second entry long here with a nice bullish bar, and you're bouncing off the trend line again. That's the place to go long. And this is a little bit congestive here, but the fact that that was that original trend line in the EMA there, and that's a big bullish bar, and it's tried to, it got a little double test off of that. I'd probably take that one because you're still looking for prices to make a new high up here on this two-tiered channel. Even if that's a close outside, it looks really valid. You can see even the midline's valid. So you're looking for prices to try to make a new high. I did mark that one green just because of the congestion and the fact that it's a little bit into some resistance right there. It finally comes back and gives you a double test and another bullish bar that closes back inside again. Notice that low, and you tested it once, you tested it twice, and that's a nice bullish bar. So I like going long right there. And then we just kind of start going sideways. It looks like you're making higher low here because you're still bouncing up this trend line. But when this all started stacking up right here, I just sit tight. You don't have much room back to here. Just sit tight and let's see what happens. And when it breaks higher and turns and closes on its very low, notice there's no overlap right there. But if you could get in that trade, I'd definitely take that trade because that's definitely a trap. And you know what trapped a lot of people because look how quickly, look how bearish those two bars are and how quickly they moved. And this closed on its low, this one opened on its high, closed on its very low. There's no stem, no nothing there, no stem on this end. That's what a trap looks like. And we actually pushed a little lower and got a little failed break lower below all that support right there. And that is a second entry long. This is basically matching highs, so a new high. So first entry, second entry, I like going long right there. And you really hope that it's going to keep pushing higher. It doesn't, but it's still an easy scalp. And that, I don't see anything else I'd be willing to take into that 12 o'clock hour, being flat about an hour before. There is a good setup there, but it was actually right here on a little breakout pullback short. And all the longs obviously capitulated and gave up right there. And that's right where the news came in. You see it was a little bit volatile there for just a couple of seconds. It actually might have came in on this bar. Let me see exactly where 1 o'clock hit. Yeah, it actually hit on this bar right here. And you can see it got volatile for a bar or so, and then it bounced, and that was it. So it's still a little bit volatile. You can still see how much bigger these bars are than the previous bars. So you might wait. But by the time it got back up here on this double test, things are kind of looking, I mean, it's not looking that volatile now. You got a double test here. Notice you made that. Actually, you already had a double test, but you can still look at that as another. We've turned down there once, twice, 3 times, now 4 times. Look how bearish that bar is. Just go short right there. And when it bounces, and it actually broke higher and turned and went out the other side, that's another little trap right there. Just go short below that bar. Put your sell stop 1 tick below that bar, and if it keeps going, go with it. Unless you're already in. And I wouldn't even be afraid to add on there if I was already in and didn't scalp out yet. Look at that thing go. There's a failed second entry long here, but you're getting really close to the 2 o'clock hour, and you're still a little bit further away from the EMA. This thing's probably going to bounce soon. And you really got to go short right at a double bottom there. So I'm not as crazy about that one. Notice you've really got to, let me put the line on there just so you can see it. You can see there's a double bottom, and it does push on through. See, it's really not a smart idea to go short right into that double bottom, even though it would have worked. And of course we bounced here. And this is one of those that you might risk for an important low, but it's so close to 2 o'clock. I'm just a little, and that's really bearish. So, but it does look like, I mean, if you move that one down to there, then you basically got a good double bottom. And this is a little bit higher low. So, and notice that trend line working down. There does appear to be a close outside a new low. So it's a possibility. The better one would have been able to enter here. It's in the 2 o'clock hour, but it's barely into that 2 o'clock hour. So you may take that. I mean, I'll even make that one blue. Yeah. So, and notice what you could have ridden that all the way into the close, going back up again. So. Not a lot of trades today. Most of the ones here are pretty good. It just seems like things are slowing down a little bit. People don't really want to buy this market at these prices, but the selling has kind of subsided now. So I think that's kind of where we stand. People are, it's just people aren't really buying it and buying the market up and driving it higher, but they're not really selling it strongly either. So it's just kind of moving along sideways, basically, is what we've got going on right now. So I think this market is still a little nervous. It probably wouldn't take much selling to suddenly drive the volume back up and have people running for the door again. So I don't know. I'm not convinced that the volatility is over just yet, but it's definitely slowed down the last few days. So we may be headed to that point. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again tomorrow. Wrap up our week. Tomorrow will be Thursday. So, I mean, the weeks just seem to be flying by. August is almost over. School's starting back again. And I don't know where the summer went. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow to wrap up our week. I'm done for today. This is Mac
with priceactiontrading system.com, and we'll see you next time.